Hi there, my name is Ash DaCosta, CTO of Mainland Information Systems. And I would like to welcome you to part one of our two-part series on VMware Cloud Management and Automation. Joining me today is Paul Gifford, Cloud Management Specialist from VMware, who will be at the wheel demonstrating VMware's management and automation capabilities. So let's start off with vCenter Operations Manager. Ops Manager provides comprehensive visibility and insights into the performance, capacity, and health of your infrastructure. As well, Ops Manager has the capability to identify capacity shortfalls and over-provisioning so you can right-size virtual machines, reclaim idle resources, and increase consolidation ratios within your virtual infrastructure. Today, Paul will be demonstrating the ability to use vCenter Operations Manager to check cluster capacity for new additional workloads that will eventually be provisioned by vCloud Automation Center in part 2 of our series. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Paul to kick off our demo.
Thanks, Ash. So in vCenter Operations, we have the ability to take a look at the virtual infrastructure and analyze the health, risk, and efficiencies, as you mentioned in your intro. Today, we're going to focus in on the cluster site A and take a look at how much capacity it has left in order to provision additional workloads using VCAC, or vCloud Automation Center. So the first thing that we'll do is navigate to the Planning tab, and you'll see what the current remaining time for CPU, memory, disk I/O, net I/O, and all the infrastructure components that support that infrastructure. When we have an upcoming project or deploying a new set of workloads, we have the ability to use the what-if scenario in vCOps to predict what that configuration will look like after we've deployed it. So what I'm doing here is using the what-if scenario to highlight cluster machine capacity. I'm using the wizard to look at virtual machine capacity in the summary, highlighting the virtual machine modeling selection, clicking next. What we're going to do is we're going to take an existing profile of machines that already exist in the environment and model over that. So when we click next, we have the choice of the two different workloads that already exist in the infrastructure. So we're going to highlight the full SLES workload, and we're going to select next. And we're going to change the VM count to 2, because that's the number of machines that we want to provision at the end of the day. Note that the profile of this workload is actually indicative of how that machine has been behaving in the infrastructure already. So we have the ability to not only correctly predict the capacity after the workload is completely configured and provisioned, we'll also be able to mimic the workload lifecycle of that VM throughout the provisioning cycle. After we click next, it gives us a summary of the resulting view that we need to take a look at, and we'll select finish. We'll navigate to the Views tab underneath the planning cycles and highlight virtual machine capacity in the summary type. So in the resulting details, we've validated that we do have enough capacity to support those 2 additional VMs that we'll provision through VCAC.
Okay, cool. But what if you didn't have enough capacity?
That's a great question. We can actually take a new what-if scenario and layer it on top of that to have a perfect example of what would happen if we needed to add, say, a new host or a couple different hosts or some additional storage. So going through the wizard, I can select the hosts and data store choice for the modeling. I'll select next. I can highlight one of the ESX hosts, click the host button, and give it some configuration to match. So I'll just make sure that that is the same settings. It's 3 gigahertz. And once I'm happy with the configuration, I can select next. I can also add a new data store. Let's say if we wanted to add another 100 gigs. Select next, and in the summary it basically tells us what we're doing. I select finish, and now the results here show a hardware change, and now I have way more capacity than I even started out with. So depending on what the scenario is for the project or the upcoming budget, you can choose what different capacity resources we need to add to the virtual infrastructure and then go from there.
Okay.
Now that we've verified these components, we're ready to jump into VCAC and start creating some blueprints from templates.
Well, cool. Thanks, Paul. Well, I hope this helped you understand some of the capabilities available with vCenter Operations Manager. Join us for part 2, where we will provision workloads using vCloud Automation Center. Feel free to drop me a line if you have any questions. See you in part 2.